Welcome to Smacky's Garage, where today we're going to be installing our wideband sensor on our '69 Mustang. So what I chose to install it with is a AEM air to fuel ratio gauge here. I have this, it comes with the oxygen sensor, it comes with all the wiring to pull it together. So I'm hoping that everything goes together smoothly. I feel like this should be able to be clamped to the steering column without an issue. I'm going to do it in a way that I don't have to drill into the steering column because it's original to the car, but it should allow me kind of some immediate feedback directly in front of my eyes. Alright, let's get installing. We have the AEM gauge here that we're going to wire in. What I need to do is connect it up. So I have this one that goes to the power for the gauge as well as any output, and I have this one which comes from the sensor itself. So what I'm going to do is gonna set it up so that I wire this one first from the gauge itself to the 12-volt source, and this one I'm going to run from the engine bay into the dash. This probably won't go anywhere into the engine bay, but I'll set it up right now. Alright, this is ready to go in. So take this, pulling this together. So I'm going to put it on the steering column. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to run a hose clamp in there temporarily. Probably going to cover this with maybe electrical tape right now just to make it look better and make sure it doesn't cut up or damage the steering column. I'll get a little bit better mounted later, but temporarily until we get into that new garage, this is the solution I'm going to use. Alright, so here's the part I'm going to be installing the exhaust bung into. It's a stainless steel piece from pipes that I got with the exhaust when I originally purchased it. The old gasket on it blew, so I'm going to have to clean this up and make it nice again. We're all cleaned up. The surface looks much better. So it gets necked down here, so I've made a light pencil mark here so I can measure off to make sure that I'm not pushing down on there. And now here's where the exhaust is clamping up to the rest of the system. So I'm going to be installing it on this. So let's go ahead and mark it, and then we'll get ready and start drilling. Alright, the hole is drilled. I ended up using a step drill to it. It's about a 7/8 hole. Alright, so the bung is installed. Thanks to my friend Bill, who was able to weld it at his shop down on the South Shore. Quality of weld I wouldn't have been able to do without a lot of practice, so shout out to Bill to getting this done for me. When you're putting this together, if you don't have a connection to weld for you, I would highly recommend taking it to a local exhaust shop unless you're a professional. Now let's go take a look at where we should put our gauge. Starting to think through where I'm going to wire this and how I'm going to put the gauge in. I think where I'm going to put it is right here so that it's on the steering column of the car. I'll back up a little bit so you can see it. It's easy to see. It's not too bad. It won't be in the way of anything. I'll still be able to see the gauges, the original gauges from here. I have my water temperature and oil pressure down here still, so that's going to be easy to see. I like the black face on this, so I'm looking forward to getting that set up and seeing how this looks mounted in the car. So while I am under here, I was able to get this one completely cleaned up, working on cleaning up the next one now. Alright, so what we're going to do now is wire this up in the car. Should be relatively simple. With the plugs that come with it, they just plug right in, and then you can route it anywhere through the car. I'm probably going to end up doing temporary routing for now until I can cut and trim these to fit, just so that I can get the car completed and moved over to the new garage. So there really isn't a great spot where I want to put it. I want to come through on that side. So what I believe I'm going to do is I'm going to install it kind of where an air conditioner would go. So I'm going to just for now go through that hole and over to the front of the dash. So temporarily, I think what I'm going to do is pull this screw out, be able to drop this, and then reach back up and over. Looks like we found the wire. Alright, we'll pull this through, get enough to go across into the dash. Alright, so we're all wired up. That's in. We're ready to go. I have the two wires here. These are going to get wired into the back of the gauge, and the gauge is going to get mounted. Alright, so the plan has changed. What I'm going to end up doing is just wrapping this lightly in electrical tape to protect it, and I'm just going to put a hose clamp around it to hold it in place, and that should work temporarily to get the car on the road. So it doesn't look too bad to get it in place initially and to hold it in. So like I said, this is going to be a temporary mount until I find a better place to mount it. So I picked up these terminal blocks off Amazon. I'm using one for the positive 12 volt switched, and I'm using the other for the ground. What it's allowing me to do is to cleanly install this without having to cut and splice a lot of wires together. Here I can just crimp them together and then wire it all from an incoming wire for both ground and the positive switch side. Alright, let's power this up now. Alright, installing the AEM Wideband was easy and straightforward. Now comes the hard part. Over the next few videos that I'm going to have on the channel, I'm going to talk through how I tune it and how I'm using the wideband to get the carburetor straight. Thanks for tuning in today on Smacky's Garage.